to the traditional owners of the land that we're on, the Arana people, and we're in Bantua, and this is sacred, special land that has been stolen, and we have a long way to go to tell the truth about what happened here. I would like to extend my respects to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people in the room or joining us on the Zoom call. Okay, what's my name? My name is Kodi, and my artist name is Kodivine, and I've been privileged to play with lots of different people and perform in lots of different spaces and setups, and some of them really high tech and some of them really low tech, and all the ones in between. So we can talk about that today. But I have put together a workshop that's kind of a progression of things, and it starts with us just getting to know each other, so it's not so. So I'd like to, if you want to talk off mic, that's also okay for people joining us from their homes. We're going to do a little get to know you activity, so just bear with us if you would like to start.
Yeah, I'm Jez, work at Music and Tea, just in an office just here, and play bass and keys and sing, and in the bass with Rosie right next to me.
I'm Rosie, and I sing sometimes with Jeremy and in a couple of bands, and that's good. Sorry, I'm really tired, so I'm a bit foggy. Sorry about that.
I'm Ezekiel. I'm a year 11 at St. Philip's.
Cool.
I sing and play the drums, piano, and guitar.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Eliana. I'm also a year 11 student at St. Philip's. I don't really do any music, but I really like listening to it. So.
Okay. Do you do a different kind of performance that's not music?
No, I don't really perform, but I like drawing.
Okay.
I like art.
Cool. So do I. So do we. Well, thanks for sharing. I guess, can I sit down? Will I still be in the frame? I think, yeah, so in my little bio when I was writing up for this workshop, I was like, oh, I've actually been doing this for a fair chunk of my life now. And I used to have a big chip on my shoulder about it, and sometimes I still do, because I grew up in a regional area that had really not much arts, and there was a lot of pressure to just get a trade or work in industry, and there was not much support for the arts. There was only community theatre and musical theatre, and it was very it was a Stedfords and musical theatre, and that was it. And I was like, oh, it's not my jam, and I know if I'm going to go in those things, I have to play that game if I want to get any of the good roles, or I want to get a look in. You have to be friends with those people. So right from the get-go, there were things about the industry of the arts that I was did not resonate with me. And I mean, yeah, those things still exist in the industry, and I'm sure we've all heard it's not what you know, it's who you know, and all of those things. But there's also who you know leads to certain places that you might not want to go anyway. So it's interesting to think about pathways and where they might lead that you create. So yeah, you're kind of creating your own destination and journey on the way there, and you can dip in and out of other things. So I feel that's been what I've tried to do so far. So yeah, I started doing musical theatre, and then I started making my own bands and writing my own emo songs. My life is so hard living in regional Queensland. And then eventually, after boycotting university for a long time, decided to go to uni. I said I'd just do one semester and I'll see how I go. And so, yeah, I gave it a shot, and I went to Southern Cross University in Lismore, and I loved it, fully frothed for it, and even added on an extra year of study at the end of my degree. And then I went and did masters, some of my masters somewhere else. So I think, yeah, giving things a little chance and just making little deals with yourself. I'll just give it this much time, or I'll just try it for that amount of time, and not going to judge myself if it doesn't work out. I can bail. and then at least I know. And that kind of works as a practice method as well. I'll just sit at the piano for 5 minutes, and then you're there for half an hour, and then you're there for an hour, and then suddenly you know how to play piano. So yeah, those little micro deals with yourself can really work out. Yeah, okay, we'll move on to an activity after I ask this question, which is why, first of all, thank you for coming, and is there something that you wanted to get out of this workshop or a specific thing you wanted to discuss? Or if you're just here by accident, that's okay too.
My music teacher told me about this, but I do write songs, so I was kind of interested in that.
Mm-hmm. Have you performed them live?
Not yet, just for like my friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
That still counts.
Yeah, I suppose I've known you for a while, so it's really good to hear. Never sat down and asked you these questions, so I thought I'll just come and learn something about you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I really admire your work, Kodi. Yeah, and also I'm terrified of sharing my own music. So that could be better.
Okay. And do you, is there anything about drawing or like steps in your artistic process that you wanted to share?
I'm not too sure. Maybe like showing people my art and get a bit worried about. Maybe that might help.
Yeah. I think that's maybe applicable to all art forms, is like when it goes from being your private thing to something that's public in some way or shared. Yes. Okay, so for people joining us from home, I don't know if you can see, but there's some paper and pens on the floor, and if it's accessible and comfortable enough for you to write on this, I would like to write down what you think makes a good performance. And so you don't need to be a performer to be able to identify those things, and that's part of what makes being on stage so scary, because everyone has an opinion, even if they don't do it themselves. So, yeah, if you would like to take a seat on the floor. What makes a good performance? And I would like to just delve a little further into that. It's not about what makes a good singer or what makes a good guitarist. It's not like musical elements, although it might be. What makes a good performance? And you walk away and you're like, oh my God, that was so good. Oh, cute. think maybe you wrote down more than me. Cool. Maybe if you just want to finish what you're writing at the moment, or if we're done, we can maybe just. Actually, no. I'd like you to share them all if you're comfortable to do so, and I predict there might be some themes, and so I'm going to take notes on the whiteboard as you read them out. So, do you want to start? And if you can just talk into the mic, that would be fantastic.
Confidence, projection, stage presence, performing what you enjoy, interacting with the audience, and practice, I guess.
Mine were stage presence, visual interest, like colors or lighting, audience involvement, the performer being able to convey their passion for what they're doing, and like a contrast in the energy that the performer conveys.
Presence, communication of feelings or story, connection to the medium and the intention and those sharing the space, generosity towards everyone in the space on and off stage, embodiment and honesty, trust in collaborators and in your ability to hold yourself while expressing, willingness to take risks and have vulnerability, attunement with others in the space.
Vulnerability, uniqueness, the place that it's happening, the attention to detail in sound and honesty, the collaboration with the technicians like lighting and staging and the package, I guess. The story, though, that's not necessary, really, to me anyway. Openness to veer off course and the freedom to shift in where a particular performance might go that might be unexpected. Technique, which I've got down the bottom. Learning something about the performer, so you come away with something you might not have known. And skill at the bottom.
And like identity or something, knowledge of the performer, or like personal something.
Yeah, learning about the performer. Yeah, their story, I guess. So you're coming away with something you maybe didn't know before. Is that a connection? I guess yeah, maybe it's a personal connection to them. You know, like some performers look at you in the eye.
Okay. Is there any that I missed that you really want to reiterate for me to write up?
The trust in your collaborators.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna. So, yeah, this was these two words in the middle, stage presence. They came up in, I think, both of your answers, and I guess this is the mysterious thing. Like, this is what people. That's like the intangible thing that you go, oh, they had such good stage presence, and then you go, oh, but what exactly was it? Did they know all the words to the song? Did they play guitar really good? Did they have cool clothes but didn't know the words? You know, there's so many combinations of things that leave you walking away with a feeling, oh, they had amazing stage presence. And so it's kind of, we're trying to make tangible, we're trying to figure out like the magic ingredients of this thing. So I'll just read it out for the audio. What makes a good performance? confidence, intention, trust in your collaborators, generosity of the performer, audience interaction, when the audience learns something about the performer, so they feel a connection to the performer, when the performer has vulnerability and honesty and shows attunement to their team, environment, read the room and stage. Embodiment, oh, let's do a whole workshop on that. Practice, really glad that one came up. Belief in your ability, so the performer's belief in their ability. Technique, skill, which kind of came up last. Freedom, or sense of freedom. Improvisation, spontaneity, being open to things that you didn't plan. Passion, enjoyment, feelings. Story came up a few times, and the visual aspect, lighting, and then there was also like trust in your collaborators coming through as like support and tech crew and the people that are amplifying you and lighting you up. Yes. Thanks, tech crew. I trust in my collaborators.
I think one more is also an audience generosity.
Audience generosity.
Yeah, because towards the performer, because that can be like, I've often heard performers say that was a generous audience, and you know, when they've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, which I think is maybe overlooked, because we need, like I've thought recently, we need some audience training. Like we need to be a good audience for our performers, because I've played gigs that I really care about, charity gigs, and held in settings that the culture doesn't listen to the music. And I've asked the audience to like relocate themselves if they want to talk. There's an area out there where you can be rowdy. I'm trying to do a thing here. And like for multiple reasons, like the acoustics of the room, the physical space, the size of the area, it didn't happen. So I got to the end of that gig and I was like, I hated that. I actually hated that. I don't feel good about the organisers. I don't feel good about how I performed. I don't feel good about the vibe I sent to the audience. I certainly don't feel good about those guys that were talking through my set. And even though they're the ones who paid, you know, they paid a ticket that the money goes to the charity, you know, all of those things should have been a win-win-win, and yet it was this like bad experience. And I think you have to have like a thick skin for so much of the industry already. It can sometimes just be like the straw on the camel's back when the audience just like talk through your set and you're like, oh, come on, give me a break. I trained hard for this, please listen. But then it comes back to this, you work really, really, really hard and still like entitlement, you know, it's not going to get you anywhere. What, you know, there was reflective questions I had to ask myself around like, okay, how could I have captured that audience more, or how did I not provide what they were looking for in that moment? Which, it's at least I think a valuable exercise for me to go through, even though the things might not be 100% true. Maybe I should have done it with a rock guitarist instead of a pianist. That's not what I wanted to do, so I'm still not going to do that, and therefore I suffer the consequences of, well, you didn't provide this, a fitting act for what that venue usually provides. So that's just my little rant on audience generosity. And when I was planning this workshop, I thought about how we could categorize these things or these elements based on some structures that already exist, some frameworks that already exist. So if we were to organize them through our senses, then where do they fit and how might we think about them differently? So if we thought about sight and visual, and then hearing, so oral, and then if we really go into immersive performance, then you can have smell and taste and all of those things. But there's also, I thought, the sense of touch, how we could put a different lens on that, as in when you walk away from a really amazing performance, I felt so touched by that. How, if we look through that lens of the word touch, do these things make sense or come into play? And then I thought that an extra sense, which is that energetic one. So, when someone's in a bad mood and they walk into the room, you can tell sometimes. Or most times. So maybe I'll just ask you a few questions about this. I'm gonna choose some words off the board, and I'd like someone to talk about what sense it correlates to. So if I asked, what does confidence look like, or what does it sound like, or does it have a different sense to you? How do we understand from the performer that they're confident?
I think it's a visual thing, really. For me, if a performer is looking around and looking unsure, or is always looking at the foldback engineer or the front of house engineer to change something and something's not quite right, I think you can really mask that non-confidence very easily.
Yeah.
But when you're feeling not confident and you don't have the skill to do that, it can really show quickly. So I'd say it's definitely visual. From my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say both visual and energetic. Like you can do a little bit of fake it till you make it with confidence. With body language, you can take power stances that communicate confidence visually and that your body reads as confidence. But there's also an energetic trust and confidence which will just be a felt sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
I think sometimes you can just tell if a performer is like not confident or is confident. Like if you like look into their eyes. Yeah. Or if, I guess I agree with like faking it, like being able to like have a certain like body like presence to make it seem like you are.
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with everyone else and what they said. So, yeah.
And so, thanks for everyone's answers, because I would have said yes, visual, until there's a sound. And then it becomes, for me, I can really hear lots of stuff that makes me think, oh, they're really confident, or something's going on, or like, oh, they're sad, or oh, they didn't rehearse, or oh, they're angry at their drummer. And what about passion? What senses, how does that relate to sense?
I guess hearing, if they have like this passion in their voice of what they're singing, if they're kind of bored with their subject, then you can hear it,
I also agree that it's like auditory, but also you could see if they're like really like feeling like whatever they're doing and like actually like being in the moment and enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. So what might that look like? What does it look like when they're in the moment?
Maybe like maybe like swaying back and forth, like not nervously, but like feeling the music.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like their eyes look a certain way.
Yeah, I was going to say hearing as well. And then I was thinking about abandonment, even as a word, maybe, that embodiment, just that, where you lose some kind of inhibition that might have been holding you back. And it's connected with that freedom and improvisation and spontaneity, and that leaning into the passion of what you're communicating and writing its nuances there and then how they want to be expressed. Something.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like sort of seeing some performers who, you know, are dynamic. Like in an angry part of the song, they'll get angry, you know, so the way they sing is really in the shape of the words or the feeling or, you know, reflecting in the intensity of the music. But it could be the opposite, even when someone just closes their eyes and just disappears. And they're there, but maybe they're not there, and obviously they're really enjoying it themselves. Either that or they got a real bad headache or something. But yeah, I like sort of like singers who, you know, if you watch Savi or someone like that and they sing, it's almost like their hand is conducting their voice, you know, like there's this string between their mouth and their hand, and it really kind of like connects with the pitch. So it's kind of nice when the whole body's in on it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was such good answers. Thank you. Because the other framework that the more boring one that I was thinking about organizing these around was the musical elements. And depending which resource you consult, there could be 12, there could be 7, there could be 5 musical elements. I'll just read them out. But actually some of them were already mentioned. And so that's interesting links for you to make as I read these out. Pitch being of the note. Pitch, rhythm, duration, structure or form, which is like how the music is organized. Dynamics, and dynamics refer to really loud, really soft, the intensity of the music. The pulse and the tempo. Texture and timbre. And texture is kind of like layers of sound. How wide is it? How deep is it? Is it bright? Is it dark? And that relates to timbre as well. But timbre is like there's so many cerebral ways to talk about timbre, but it's like the color of the tone or the color of the music or the, is it like steel or is it like warm or is it sharp? Sharp as in spiky, or is it brassy? Tonality, the key that the music is written in. Harmony, and that's the chords of the music and how they work together. And melody, which is usual in Western music, derived from the harmony. And there's lots of like boring mathematical ways to talk about that, which I won't do. And then another one that's less commonly included with musical elements is mood. But I think all the other elements contribute to the mood. But those are all like access points into maybe understanding this. There are also access points into thinking about your songwriting or looking at your patterns of songwriting and trying to change something if that's what you're after. Or all the songs that I write sound the same. So what if I thought about it from the term of rhythm? I'm going to start with that and I'm going to do something I never do. It's going to probably leave me with something I haven't made before. So looking at these words, confidence, passion, audience interaction, belief in ability, embodiment, I personally can see how they relate to some of the musical elements. Like embodiment, to me that's rhythm, tempo, and pitch. Like you just mentioned, like when the performer's body matches the pitch that they're doing or matches the dynamics, that contributes to this stage presence thing or this good performance. I think like texture and passion go together on some level, because if the music is really stripped back, it can allow a passion to come through that wouldn't be there if it was overloaded. And the one that I was really thinking about, the musical element that allows this or contributes to this, I don't know which one, but dynamics. I think dynamics are like a streamlined way to get to stage presence and good performance. Because even if your bandmates or you don't know the song that well, if all of you get together on a quiet bit, then the wheels don't fall off so hard and you can recover. And there's lots of like physiological reasons why like being quiet would allow for more mindfulness and you to like focus and get back on track if that's what's needed. But it also draws the audience in. And yeah, I did try that in that bad experience gig that I had. And it didn't work, so it doesn't always work. But sometimes if the audience is being really loud and you want more in the fold and you want more on the blah blah, like, get off mic. And then everyone's like, oh, is there a fire? Is it, what's going, you know? They have to pay attention because you're not battling with the, you know, you're not doing the same thing as them, you've changed it. And the contrast in dynamics is a really good method to allow or contribute to stage presence. So I'm going to play some clips. Is there anything I need to add to the board or any question at the moment? When?
Could be historical. Like, you know, some performances really mark time, or they might Woodstock or something like that, or Freedom Day, or there's something maybe political that really marks this performance as being particularly special.
That quote from Nina Simone.
Yeah, totally.
Reflect the times. The job of the artist, or I think so, something like that. The job of the artist is to reflect the times. And actually I revisit that. Yes, make the revolution irresistible. When I see, sometimes when I've seen a performance that I didn't like, it comes back to that for me sometimes. There could be other things, but I'm like, it just didn't matter. Like, it just didn't, there was nothing considered about the interesting time and space that we're in. And so I didn't walk away feeling like that was poignant, or that was really important, or that was like transformative. And not everything has to be transformative, not everything can be important. There's still value in making art that's not amazing, because is any art amazing? But yeah, this like socio-political context, or this like acknowledging of time and space context that you're in. So, as we watch these clips, it would be great if you could write down anything you see from here, or that we've talked about, that comes up in the performances that I'm about to show. If you get lost watching the clips, that's also okay. But I'm going to ask at the end what we might have noticed in the performances I'm about to show. Okay. So, I'm going to sit. Yeah. The first clip is by a band called Tank and the Bangers, and they're based in New Orleans. And I was extremely lucky to have lived in New Orleans for 6 months and study at the University of New Orleans. And I got to see this band in someone's backyard, which was amazing. And yeah, here it is. This is their Tiny Desk concert.
I would have been good for you.
Maybe a week I can't go to the store and buy your ass a clue. I heard they got some honesty on sale. Maybe we can buy her too. I heard a Joe, a mama sold Joe a buttons until you were 22, and your sister was Joe laundry.
I think it's time I did laundry too.
Beets, grapes, peas, milk, fruit, eggs, you.
What, girl?
You don't understand?
I don't understand what you're saying.
I say, you know, you like a loop, like a hula hoop.
Oh, like a hula.
Like a hula hoop. Ooh, you like a loop, loop. I feel like I'm going round and round with you. I feel like the O's inside my soup, but don't nobody get full up of eating no soup. I've got a questions, so many questions, and you got a box. Well. I'm meat, beets, greens, peas, milk, fruits, eggs, you. What a maybe a we I can't go to the mountain skate down the hall and cruise. Or do you I need permission from your mama? I think I need permission too. You like me too? You carry me to do what I gotta do. You deep and you tearing at the base. And work for the time you had to make. I got a mouth questions, so many questions. And you got a big old yellow, big old stupid spot. Peas, milk, fruit, eggs, you, eggs, you.
Come on, snap your fingers, snap your fingers, snap your fingers. Come on, snap your fingers, snap your fingers, snap your fingers. Come on, snap your fingers, snap your fingers, snap your fingers. Come on.
Okay, as much as I would love to keep watching that, that's enough of that clip. Do you want to take a few seconds to write anything down? Okay. Got an email. Frontline action on call. All right, I'm going to play the next clip. Is that all right? Oh. Yeah, we're gonna share at the end and see if there's any things that come up more than once. Great. I'm going to play this clip by Yeba, who is an epic vocalist, and she's playing with just a guitarist. It's her song, My Mind.
You can't even look me dead in the eyes. Her love is strong, she got you hypnotized. You say you love me, but I know it's a lie. When I work so hard to keep you satisfied, to lose my I'm about to lose my mind, my mind, about to lose my to lose my how could you do this to me? No way, she can't take you away from me. I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave. No way, she won't take me. Yeah. No way, no way. And I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave. Oh, in my mind, my mind, my mind. I think about you all the time. My mind, my mind, my mind. You'll always be mine. I know. That's that one. Thank you.
So good. Are we all still here? If you wanted to write anything down that you didn't already do, you can do that now. And moving on to this artist named Chica and their tiny desk as well.
Crown, and we're about to get this shit popping. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Can't let nobody take my crown. Can't let nobody take my crown.
Cold hand, sharp pencil, I scribble the stanza as my hands are trembling. Grade 7 made heaven out of words. I began to build a world that only I inhabit. I got a habit of rapping about tragic shit. I think I'm just passionate, trying to steer the way while in the dark. Hope I ain't crashing it. Now my little hobby turned to cash now. Thinking about who I'd be if I listen to doubt. Said I never do it, well look at me now. Young girl, oh dream, oh soul, oh dear. Plan B, plan well, good luck, no fear. Just waiting, gotta tell you when the time's near. But if I never jump, then I die here. Hey, don't ride till you pick up speed, yeah. They think college is all you need, yeah. And I don't blame your brainwashing on you, G. It took me 19 years to finally start to believe. And that's me, listen.
I'ma make it in the rain or shine. All about my money, don't waste my time. Ain't nobody gonna bring me down.
Anybody out there believe in something?
I'm on an elevator. I'm on to something greater. Ain't nobody gonna take my crown.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, okay, this one's for the kids with depression. The ones whose parental expectations got them stressing. The ones who will rather persevere, bust their ass trying to make it, cause they ain't really living in the present. They out here grinding, seeking perfect timing, tuning out the useless voices that discourage rhyming. Get a real job, I don't argue with my destiny. And if my choices don't affect you, why you testing me? And as of late, I've been asking God why he blessing me. Look, I could cry enough tears to fill the Chesapeake. Hold it together, girl, you deserve the world. And if no one else will say it, then I spit it to the mic in the studio when I lay it, and I play it when you discouraged. I know chasing the impossible takes some courage, and I can promise at the end of your journey, when it's all said and done, won't nothing feel much better than hearing my nigga, you won, ayy.
I'ma make it in the rain or shine. All about my money, don't waste my time. Ain't nobody gonna bring me down. Anybody out there? No, no, no. I'm on an elevator. I'm on to something greater. Ain't nobody gonna take my crown. Can't take my crown. No, no, no.
So joyous. Okay, once again, if you needed to write anything down, you can do that. And this is Cynthia Erivo.
Lyrics again. Say them to yourself again, because they mean a lot, and we all need to say these things to ourselves. Okay.
My eyes ain't used to these rays. I'm feeling exposed, but I can't hide no more. I can't hide.
As the sun shines down on all of my glory, my flaws don't look so bad at all. What was I so afraid of? Every part of me is a vision of a portrait of Mona Lisa. Every part of me is beautiful, and I finally see I'm a work of art, a masterpiece. Oh, 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 oh. Who is this I tried so long to find, filling my head with lies that I'm not good enough? Then I heard something in my ear tell me I'm perfect. Now that I know the truth, time to show and prove. Every part of me is a vision of a portrait of Mona Lisa. Every part of me is beautiful, and I finally see I'm a work of art, a masterpiece. Oh, 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 oh.
And the last clip, the audio is really different on this clip, so I might have to turn it up on here.
You look them all in the eye and tell each of us what we're doing wrong. I was only about 6 or 7 at the time. I wasn't sleeping with my neighbour or...
This is an artist called William Crichton.
And then we'd sing some songs and we'd sound joyous, you know? You sound joyous when you sing songs together, especially. Then he'd come back out and he'd tell us again what we were doing wrong with our lives. Sing a few more songs, feel a little bit more joyous. Come out, and this was the big thing, he'd come out and then he'd tell us that if we didn't follow, we'd all burn in hell. But he had the perfect way to get us out of that, and then he passed the hat around. You know, there's nothing wrong with church, universal love, I believe in that, but that wasn't that. So it took me a little while to break out of it. Out of the darkness, he said, pushed open the door. What would you desire if there was nothing higher, nothing forevermore, nothing forevermore? I said, I want my money back.
Make it stop. Yeah, so that last clip was William Crichton, and that was his song, I think it's called Jesus Blues, or Jesus Got the Blues. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I just went on a journey myself, and I've seen all of those heaps of times. Does anyone want to share how they feel, or stand out, or just any random comment?
I thought they were all just really good at storytelling and like conveying like what they were feeling in the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were all really passionate. And with the first one we saw, I noticed like they were really enjoying what they were singing and the sound that they were making. And they were also interacting with the audience, like they were pointing at them and making eye contact. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote heaps for all of them. But yeah, it was really good to watch the different, like the tones and moods of those performances were all really different. And I might just read out all the words because that's easier.
Mm-hmm.
So for Tank and the Bangers, it had cheekiness, playfulness, embodiment, freedom, passion, enjoyment, rapport with one another, interaction, connection, pleasure, joy, and skilled as fuck. Then for Yeba, the honesty of the feeling and giving herself permission to be really raw in front of an audience and vulnerable. And the fact how much her skill enabled like a breadth of expression. And she really abandoned herself to both the skill that she was using and the storytelling. And there was a fierceness of intention of the meaning she was trying to convey. Then in Chica, the pleasure of that ensemble was just nuts. Yeah, and an ease, and they all had that embodiment as well. And a kind of boldness in the Chica, the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Then for Cynthia, again, like a real clarity of intention of what she was conveying to the audience. Like you could almost just pick it up with your hands. It was so clear. Then William was the storytelling. He had an ease, super passionate, and a real connection with his message. And you could see him directing it at the audience, just like, yeah, strongly.
Thank you.
Yeah, with William, I had that sort of dynamic contrast, and he sort of played with that a lot, you know. Having that guitar drone and stopping it, talking, bringing it back in, and then, you know, it was this slow build up to this big explosion at the end where there was no words. It was just like, boom, big chords. And with Cynthia, was really that sort of the loss of inhibitions there and just like raw passion, I guess. And, you know, she just sort of disappeared within the performance. And also dynamics as well with them. And Chica I just had, and Chica and Yeba and Bangs just had the unity of the ensemble. Was really, everything was supportive, you know, to support the singer or the singers in Bang's situation. And yeah, just every single little bit, every little burn or a little or every stroke was totally supportive and on point. Yeah, the silences and and I felt like with Yeba there was a bit of sort of maybe there wasn't, but it felt like there was some improv in there.
Yeah.
And that she had the confidence and that freedom in that particular time to sort of disappear as well, and obviously she was really enjoying it.
Who was the very first one? Oh, Taking the Bangers. You talked on them. Great, cool. Did you have anything to add for any of the performers, or did you? No? Cool. Yeah, and I chose these performances because they do demonstrate lots of the things that we would say, yes, do that, about that, and it will equal that. But also, lots of them also break the rules about what you would think convention says to do. Like if you consult stage presence, resources, or how to, or build your stagecraft, or how to get charismatic on stage, it will say, don't leave any silence, make sure you have talking in between every single song, make sure you're looking at the audience, don't close your eyes, it will shut the audience out. Yeah, know your stuff inside out, make sure you plan everything. And the breakages of those rules is what made parts of those performances really entrancing. So when Cynthia is introducing the song, it's really silent. There's so much silence in her songs, in that song, and the accompaniment is so simple. But the trust in the collaboration was so much there. But yet she kind of broke this rule of like, you don't leave too much silence, it will make the audience uncomfortable. So she really deliberately played that card because it like enabled passion and the message and reflect the times. So it actually comes down to, at some point, maybe it doesn't matter, maybe there's no set of rules about it, you just need to be considered, or you need to consider it prior, so that you are this, so that you're free on stage, because there's nothing, hopefully nothing coming up that you can't handle, because you've gone, oh yeah, if that goes like that, then I can choose silence and I know how that will work. Or actually, I'm going to not plan that bit and I can let it be chaos. And then on the other side, I'm going to have this little anchor point, which leads me to something else I'm going to talk about, that can catch me after that chaos, or after that really entertaining bit. Yeah. Yeah, before I move on to anchors, though, I want to... There's no replacement for time spent doing your thing. There's no replacement for time spent playing your instrument. Talking about playing the instrument or talking with other people that play the instrument doesn't count. There's no replacement for time spent singing. There's no replacement for time spent in the rehearsal room. And the more that you practice, like you can't skip the work. There are ways to fake it till you make it, but there's also a point where you go, actually, I haven't practiced enough to improvise. So that amazing stage presence and magical moment that we saw in Yeba of the spontaneity, that comes from hours and hours and hours spent practicing those runs, so that they can come out in the moment. And once you're real with yourself on this stuff, no matter whether it's where you want to be, or actually, I got real with myself and I don't know how to do that run, so I'm not going to do it on stage because it's going to make me feel like shit, because I'm going to come off and not nail it. So instead, I'm going to have some real talk. I'm going to choose a simpler thing to sing or a simpler thing to play, so then all of this stuff can come through. So there's a level of like honesty that only you have with yourself about your practice, your time spent doing the thing, and being okay with being a work in progress. And that might be described as a feeling of surrender or a moment of surrender. You could have that talk with yourself as you finish a rehearsal. That piece is not where I want it to be. That song is not at the vision of where I want that song to be. No one's playing it right. It doesn't sound, that idea hasn't come together. So what's my strategy for the gig I'm about to play tomorrow with no more rehearsal in between? And you kind of, you go, okay, it's going to be what it will be. And it's always a work in progress anyway. So even if it was perfect, doesn't matter. And there's so much more to the performance anyway. This came up so minimally in our brainstorms. But I think from what I've seen and my experience, if you're not really honest about this stuff and you're trying to do more than you actually have practiced, or you're biting off more than you can chew, which, yes, a respect to that, but it leads to all of these things falling down, I think. And things falling down, or the wheels falling off, or things not going as planned, I want you to think of a time where that's happened to you or for you on stage. Or actually, it doesn't have to be on stage. You had a plan, it was meant to go a certain way, and it didn't, and you're in the middle of it, and I just want you to, I'm going to think of one. I want you to go there in your mind. Everyone got it? You can also think of one too. Does anyone want to share it? You don't have to. Yeah? Please, on the magic talking stick.
Yeah, well, I guess mine's like from a studio, like working in the studio, where I was hired to go into a studio, work with these people that were doing a voiceover for Sydney, and I was somewhere else and had the talent there, and the tech just wouldn't work. It was just, that was it, and we had to just actually call it, and just had to go, well, that's called, we can't do it, book it later on, and not take that home, but actually just realise that sometimes shit hits the fan. And everyone there just went, yeah, shit hit the fan, and that was it. So, yeah. But I mean, it didn't make me feel amazing, but I was sort of bought in, so, you know, like not doing the blame game, but ultimately the tech was out of the control of everybody. But it's just, you know, just letting it go.
Yeah.
One time I was just, we were like performing, it was like me and like a couple of friends, and the drummer got really nervous and just like stopped after the first chorus. And then I was like looking around because like I was ready to keep going, but the guitarist just like turns to the drummer and it's like, just keep going, and like, yeah.
And they started drumming again?
Yeah.
Cool. How did it end?
It ended like well, like how we rehearsed it.
Uh-huh.
But I think they were just a little nervous, so.
Yeah, mine was a big lyric blank. It just disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my favorite song.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, and I think, you know, what would have been good is just to go, to communicate directly with the band and just go, like, and I'll come back in. And then, but then, yeah, the band leader just went, chorus! And I was like, okay. But, yeah, but then it's like everything disappeared. I just felt completely lost. Yeah. But I think leaning into the trust in the rest of the band would have been helpful at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my next question of, now that that moment has passed, in hindsight, what needed to happen that didn't? And we kind of already answered that, or you already know. And then the second part of this is I would like you to think of a time when you've seen it happen to someone else, when you've seen it on stage.
Yeah, I saw this artist called DJ Shadow once. He did a set at the Forum in Melbourne, and his major drum machine just stopped working. So he sat on the stage, everyone gathered around, and we just had a Q&A for 45 minutes, which was really interesting because he'd just done a whole lot of stuff with Radiohead and all these different artists. So, yeah, and he just waited for someone to bring another one. So he just totally paused the show, and it was really good. It was really unique, and I remember that, and it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone who was there would remember it because they didn't just walk off. They put the energy into making it something unique.
One that stands out to me is watching videoed footage of Prince, and I was just watching him going, he looks because normally his presence is amazing,
Mhm.
but he looked so unsure. His pitch was off, like his timing was off. Like he looked so confused, and then he just goes, I can't hear myself properly, and kind of just had to say that in front of everybody. And eventually you could tell the sound came back through, and then he was like, right, I'm back on, and he went boom, back into presence. But it was kind of a relief going, oh, like, yeah, when that tech stuff falls down or you don't have that full ensemble, then it does all suffer. Yeah. It was slightly comforting.
Did you want to share? Do you have any?
One time a Queen impersonator came into town, and like into his like second or third song, he completely lost his voice and couldn't get it back on. Like he couldn't sing.
Oh.
Yeah. So he ended up asking anyone in the audience if they could sing his songs, and this one guy came up and he knew all the Queen songs, and he sung instead.
Wow.
So it was really cool.
That is cool. Yeah, and the reason behind this thinking process is that it kind of links to this audience generosity, in that when the wheels are falling off for you, it's a huge, huge deal, and all of your like fight or flight response comes on, and you're like, oh my God, and your self-talk can like go down the hole, and then when you see it on someone else, you have so much more generosity, and you let it go so much more quickly, and you realize that that's just a thing that happened. Sometimes tech breaks down, or sometimes people are off, or, you know, illness, whatever ailments might be going on for that person. So that level of forgiveness, even though it's hard, it can be hard to access for yourself in the moment, that's kind of where we need to be working towards, because it allows us to get back to that stuff more quickly. It allows you to get back into the moment, because at some point it's not about you anymore, it's about everyone in the space that's enjoying this thing that's being created, or this thing that's unfolding. So if something goes unplanned or wrong, the longer you stay in that like dwelling on the wrongness, the less you're giving back to the space. And actually, you might be like sucking energy from the room. And something that helps me in those moments is to just have a lull, like to just laugh at it, because it's all absurd what we're doing anyway. And it was silly of me to think that it was going to go a certain way. That helps me, rather than being like, oh, actually, you are good, Kodi, just, you know, that happened, blah, blah. You just go, oh, lol, fucked it up, whoops. And then do the next song. So, yeah, if you can, it doesn't always have to be serious. You can just laugh. Or make an anchor. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm going to talk about anchor points. Anchors are a concept that can help you like get back in your body or feel grounded again, or when something shakes you, you can move on from it. And I want to talk about it in two ways of what helps you feel present, like outside of performing music. So maybe you have an unexpected interaction with someone and it feels unpleasant, or it changes your mood, and then you might feel like you can't go about the rest of your day or something. What can you put in place? Like, what are some strategies that can get you back on track, or get you back to like a center point of feeling calm? So, yeah, I mean, it's not too complex. It might be something physical that you have, or it might be like, you know, people have a lucky thing on their keyring, or something in their pocket that they can physically touch when they're feeling nervous or they get mad. It could be memory, or it could be the thought of a certain person, or it could be a made-up person, it could be a made-up place. I definitely have had, I didn't realise it was an anchor until it became apparent, and I was getting so angry with this person who wasn't letting me bend the rules, and I needed to get this flight, and I was getting so cross. And it was like peak COVID, and I needed to get home, and I had no money, and it was like, this is a dumb, stupid rule that you... Anyway, and then I got a message of my, godchild, I guess. And she was like doing something really cute. I think she was actually like doing a bit of yoga or like some cute child thing. And it just cracked me up. And I was like, this stupid rule and getting my way on breaking this rule doesn't matter. Like, whatever. It's absurd what we're doing anyway. So that became an anchor point for me. And I looked back on that situation, I was like, that really calmed me down. So yeah, memory of a person, physical thing, might be a scent. Maybe you have a little rescue remedy or something that brings you back down. So there's that process of anchors, but then there's also anchors like within the song or within the performance. So this is the part that I know really well of the song, and this is the part where if the wheels fall off, it's going to happen here. It's going to happen here, and I'm going to know that from rehearsal that was the bit that didn't go so well, and we don't have enough time to get it where I want to. So what am I going to put over here that if shit happens here, I can grab onto it and claw my way out and be in the safe zone back over here? So as a singer with lyrics, like me personally, it's like, know the first verse. And if you know like 50% of the rest of the song, that's pretty good, especially if it's just a cover. Because then if the wheels fall off here, I know the first verse lyrics, and I'm just going to do those for the rest of the song. And I'm going to then be able to do the storytelling, the audience interaction, the embodiment, the belief in my ability. I might be able to improvise the melody on those lyrics because I know them so well. And it's just the first verse. And where on there does it say knowing all the lyrics to the song? We didn't identify that as something super important, so maybe you don't have to know all the lyrics to the song. There's so many songs with repetitive lyrics anyway. So that could be one anchor. Another anchor in a song is like, especially for instrumentalists, is practicing a little riff, practicing it so much that you can't get it wrong. Like one saying about rehearsal or practice is like, don't practice till you get it right, practice till you can't get it wrong. So if this happens heaps in solos, you want to have practiced enough that you have complete freedom and spontaneity, but that's kind of like an ideal world, not the real world. So if we don't get there before the show, what can I practice enough and not get wrong that it comes out? And that's an anchor point for me. Oh yeah, I know this. And actually your whole body and your muscle memory goes, oh yes, familiar, safe. And yeah, there's also like an arrangement part of it. Like I'm gonna aim to have a 4-piece horn section and this complex drumming thing and blah, blah, blah. If that doesn't happen, how is it performed with just me and guitar? Or how do I know it? Have I spent enough time in practice with my own material that if my one player gets sick on the day and can't play and I get a replacement, can I explain the song to them? Can we still do the show? Or is that like gonna rob me of that opportunity? So yeah, I think just ties back to nothing replaces time spent in rehearsal and knowing your stuff. Like in Chika's Tiny Desk, the rapper, there was no lyric sheet. There was no closing eyes thinking of lyrics. there was like all of this stuff, and we probably can't even remember most of the words, but we got the story and we got the message, and we got that she knows that stuff inside out. And yeah, it was a really supportive ensemble as well. So that's anchor points. And once you implement those in your set or in your process, I think nerves go down a little bit. There's other things to manage nerves as well, but anchors is a really effective one, because it has to be logical. It requires you, like the side effect of thinking about those anchor points is that you actually think through your whole set, and then you get all of these other benefits. But you've gone, if that song goes to shit, we've got that good one afterwards that everyone knows. Or if the tech doesn't work on that, the drummer knows, I know that it's in 4/4, and I can tell the drummer, just play basic 4/4 rhythm, just play time, and I can still do the song. So yeah, it takes the stakes down a bit, because if you don't have the anchor points in, if you don't have like a backup plan, when the wheels fall off, you are like, oh my God, I've ruined the show. And you feel shit at the end, and that's not how you want to feel. So, anchor points. La la la. Does anyone have any questions about those, or that, or experiences to share? No? Okay. Actually, this is applicable to visual artists as well. I think it's applicable to all art forms. It's like the difference between self-awareness and self-reflection. And self-reflecting is super important, but the time to do that isn't the moment. Wait till after. And this is a process I had to do with myself in uni, where I was coming off after performances, and actually it was myself, but it was also others, like taking feedback. And after every performance, I would be like, oh, what did you think? What did you think? Like, and there's a time for that, and especially if you're studying, yeah, that's valid and valuable. But what if the feedback's bad? And I hadn't really set up to like protect myself from that. And also, you just want to ride the high a little bit after the show. So you have to allow space for your reflection and for you to like process what happened in the performance, especially if something didn't go as planned. And the time for it isn't the moment it goes off the rails. You have to stay self-aware in those moments, and you self-reflect later on. Yeah, or you just go around in circles and all that stuff. Can't happen. And the audience starts crying. I say it's not, well, it is super related. If you can record yourself as much as you can and watch it back and listen back as much as you can. Especially if you're starting out. Because you might be too scared to show it with other people, or when you do show it to other people, it's really not what you practiced. It sounds so different, and oh, I can normally do that, or oh my, all of these like physical reactions happen. You're shaky, you can't play the instrument, you forget. So, like, just start with yourself. If you have a phone that has a camera, you can record yourself doing what you do, and then just you privately can watch it back and go, oh, I thought that bit sounded good. I think differently now. And you might be also surprised. I thought that bit was boring. Actually, I was really captured by that moment and the simplicity of that. Oh, I thought all of those vocal runs were so good. No, they weren't. I think it's, for all musicians, record and listen back for your tone. And there's like an extra lot of benefit for vocalists, I think, when you record yourself and listen back. because there's so much going on. And you hear emotion, and you hear spirit, and you hear different ways that your tongue is shaped, and then you hear nasal tone or bright tone or soft warm tone, and you hear things that you don't get in a live performance. From when you hear it just from your ear, it's so different to what everyone else is hearing. And you just need to get used to that. You just need to know what you're working with. Because if you don't record yourself in a rehearsal and then you go to a gig and you pay heaps of money to get it filmed, or it goes on TV or it goes on radio, and then you hear it back and you're like, I hate how I sound, it's so gross. That's because you didn't spend the time here getting to know your instrument. So if you can, record yourself and listen back, if only to protect yourself later on from the surprise. We're almost finished. Any questions? No? Any questions? I'm gonna do a thing. It's working. The other thing which I just demonstrated really well was to know your gear and know the stage. Oh, you can totally sit on the chairs if you want. Sorry, I left you on the ground for such a long time. Read the room. So how do you... When I see people that sing a lot and sing often and perform often, struggling with a mic stand, I feel awkward. That's one of your main pieces of gear. You should know it. If you can access one when you're not on stage, do it. Play with it, twist it, find out how it works, and get that embodied so that you're not working out which one to do to change it when you're on stage. It will help you, and it will make everyone else feel relaxed. And especially usually the singer is the first person they see, and you're right at the front, and everything you do is super exposed. So if you can avoid fundamental things of fiddling with hardware or gear, please do that. I was going to ask someone of the participants to share a song, and then we could yell out things from the thing for them to focus on. And then I was like, oh no, Kodi, you have to do that. You're the one that has to do that. You cannot outsource that. You can outsource a lot, but not that for this workshop. So I was going to, ha ha ha, so funny. I'm going to do a song that I wrote myself, and I want to experiment with these things, which can, it's also an exercise you can do in rehearsal of setting little micro goals for the rehearsal and saying, this time I'm just going to focus on dynamics. If I forget the words, then that's fine. If everything else goes to shit, I'm just going to focus on dynamics, and then I'm going to run the song again, and I'm just going to focus on storytelling, and then I'm going to run it again, and I'm just going to focus on something else. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the song without thinking about any of that, and then a little bit of it, and then I'm going to ask you to tell me what to do. All I I'll get nowhere if I keep you in my head. Trying to weave this story, but snagging up on this thread. Today it doesn't hurt. Tonight I'll be a mess. Hypersonic closeness, where the fuck did it go? Building a castle made from butterfly bones. Our lavender love realm, pushing to grow. I want that next level glow. I want that next level glow. Okay, that's the chorus to one of my songs called Butterfly Bones. What should I do now? Dynamics. Anything else? Or just that one? I can just do that. Yeah. Am I biting off more than I can chew, maybe? Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna experiment. Can you blend that with vulnerability? Oh, of course, the hard ones. Yep. All I know is I'll get nowhere if I keep you in my head. Trying to weave this story, but snagging on this thread. Today it doesn't hurt, but tonight I'll be a mess. Oh, hypersonic closeness, where the fuck did it go? Building a castle made from butterfly bones. Our lavender love realm, pushing to grow. I want that next level glow. I want that next level glow. How's that?
What was in your brain when you started? Like, how did you get there? Because it was noticeably everything changed. Your whole body, your head tilts. So what was the thing, the little seed that put you? And we were like, we were there, like sucked in like a vortex.
Good. Sorry, they said sucked in like a vortex.
Sorry, we said. Yeah, we said. Shall I just repeat what I said?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, just noticed this whole change in how you start, and so it was almost like you came at the microphone as a different person. Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
Which sucked us in like a vortex.
I thought about this is my second instrument. I have a lot to still do with my ability to play keys. So something I can control when I play keys a little bit is the dynamic and is the level and is the amount of notes I play at a time. So I thought I can probably access vulnerability by simplifying what I'm playing a bit more. So I've got less going on in my mind about which buttons to press. And I just had to think more or get back on the topic of what the song was about. What did I write this about? And how does it make me feel when I am just alone with the words and not necessarily performing them? And I had to let go of the runs, the vocal runs that might usually be in there that I like to do, that I enjoy to do, might not be the most vulnerable way to do it. Yeah, or might not tell the story in that way. Yeah. And to get there, broke other rules, like didn't look at you once, had the eyes shut, not the best posture, kind of like didn't get some of the buttons sometimes. So yeah, it was breaking other rules that we'd discussed. Sometimes those things make it super powerful, or sometimes there might be the trade-off for getting like real stage presence or real vulnerability. Yeah. Did that answer?
It it certainly drew us in, if that was your intention.
Okay, do you want to choose a different one? Loss of inhibition. Ah. Is that what you think of me?
Maybe also improv?
Improv. Yeah, all right. What about support from the tech crew? Loss of inhibitions. What's the first word? All I know is I'll get nowhere if I keep you in my head. Trying to weave this story, but snagging on this thread. Today doesn't hurt, but tonight I'll be a mess. Hypersonic closeness, where the fuck did it go? Building a castle made from butterfly bones. Our lavender love realm pushing to grow. I want that next level glow. Next level glow. Something like that. That's it. No more. We're done them. Sorry, I clipped the microphone a lot. Oh. Hello. I think that's all. We're like at the time, and does anyone want to play piano and sing and we can say stuff to you? No? No? All right, well that might be it. So thank you so much for joining this workshop, and thanks to everybody that might be watching from home as well, and thanks to ACCC and APRA AMCOS and Red Hot Arts and anyone else? And Music NT. What legends. And my name is Kodi, and my artist name is Kodivine, and also I want to say thank you to Rosie for letting me borrow this gear and her car. Thanks everybody, goodbye.